Good afternoon again, everybody. Today is May 15th. Hard to believe we're already halfway through the month of May, so it's exciting. I welcome everybody back. I'm Weld County Commissioner Kevin Ross, coming to you this Friday, as I do every Friday at 3 p.m., to give you an update on what's going on inside of Weld County, what's going on around the world around us, and just have a chat with you. It's a great time for us to interact. Always as you can, feel free to give us questions, and I'll do my best to answer those. And feel free to share with us stuff, as I'm about to share with you today, some more what it takes to be a Weld County Commissioner, and what our daily life looks like, what the role of a county commissioner is, and some of the things I'm working on, separate from even my other county commissioners. But we're going to touch base on that and go from there, give you a brief update on my campaign. But I wanted to just kind of, as people are logging on, get everybody caught up here. Last Sunday was Mother's Day. I hope everybody had the opportunity to celebrate in some way with their mom, or celebrate their mom, or maybe it's in remembrance of their mother. I know my wife, she wanted to celebrate. We cooked up some brats and burgers and spent a day with the family. On Saturday, I was able to celebrate with my mom, had them down, and we did a barbecue and enjoyed each other's company on the back patio, and it was good. They came down from Cheyenne, and it was just great to catch up and see them in person. And I know my daughters enjoyed seeing them, and I'm pretty sure she enjoyed seeing people as well. So it was kind of a special day to celebrate. May, I'll tell you, for my family, May is the month of birthdays. I have two sister-in-laws whose birthday is in May. My wife, her birthday was on Tuesday. I have my youngest daughter, her birthday is this month, here in a few days. Both my mother and father-in-law's birthday is in May, and we have several friends' birthdays that are in May. To me, it's kind of like a second Christmas almost, right? Everybody's celebrating birthdays in the month of May, so kind of busy for us. I don't know if anybody else out there, I almost said out there in Rio Linda, but we're not in Rio Linda, right? If anybody else out there has a month like that where it seems like everybody has a birthday, I'll share with you. I know ours is here in May. But another thing we've been celebrating here recently is graduations, high school graduations. It's being done a little differently, as schools are trying to wade through the COVID-19 waters and figure out which best way to celebrate. Some schools have decided to host their graduations outside on football fields. Others have chose to not have graduations, and some are still doing them in person and not allowing family in, whatever that choice may be. I hope they're getting the best information for those, and taking into account this incredible milestone, not only for the children who are graduating, but the families who've supported them growing up. You know, it truly takes those families and friends and loved ones around each of those students to get through those elementary, middle school, high school years, and it's quite a milestone of achievement that those children can be proud of. Those, I should say, really young adults can be proud of as they move on, and maybe some of them choose to go to college, some of them may choose to go to a trade school, and some may choose to just get out in that workforce or start their own business. And as a former coach, I know it was always exciting watching what my players would do after they got out of school. And they all found success in various things, and some of them chose college, some of them chose to go right into the workforce, whatever that may be. I always get such a just true level of enjoyment when a former player of mine reaches out and says, "Coach, how you doing?" And I'll be, "Great, how you doing, bud?" And I'll be like, "What are you up to these days?" And I love hearing them share their stories, because each of them just finds that unique level of success in their lives, and it's so neat to hear. And I'm sure many of you are the same way. It's something we can all be proud of. I've had a busy day today. Started off early. Weld County's doing this new heart health assessment on its employees. I started off last year at the Sheriff's Department to where they do things where they image the heart, they put you through a stress test, they do a full blood panel on you. And this year they're doing administration in a couple other departments. And so I got to go over this morning to the health center over in Fort Collins and get my heart imaged. I had no idea what it would entail. It was very easy. I laid down, they put a couple electrodes on my chest and sent me through this, what I would call, looked like a CAT scan machine. I had to hold my breath a couple times, in, out. I was out of that machine in like 3 minutes. It was amazing, but what it's supposed to do is map your heart health, and give you, some clues on what you can do if you might need to be healthier. I know as a county, we're doing this as preventative care. We actually were able to help some individuals out last year, discovered some health problems with them, and we're able to help them change their lives before something serious happens. So very important, and we're getting going on that. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is leadership. We kind of have touched briefly on it the last 2 weeks, but I wanted to talk to you kind of what I believe leadership is and some examples of it, because I think we need to give some kudos out there today, and I'll get to those in a moment. But leadership to me is really standing up and stepping forward in times of need when others may not be willing to stand up or do the right thing. It's recognizing there's a problem and saying, I'm going to help bring that solution to the table. I truly believe not everybody's capable of leadership in all situations. Who out there has been watching Michael Jordan's show on Sunday nights here on ESPN for the last few weeks called The Last Dance? It's amazing. I remember growing up watching Michael Jordan play. And it starts out from when he got drafted into the NBA, and it kind of does this bounce back and forth, and we keep inching closer, but it's bouncing back and forth between time frames and the 98 season when the Bulls won their sixth and final championship with Michael Jordan on the team. And it goes through the chronicles, it goes through the teammates on there, it goes through the coaching staff, it goes through the general manager, and really highlights the things Michael Jordan would do. And it shows his leadership abilities on the team and how you can't just be a leader and have no one following you. That's not leadership. That's just being a dictator, right? And people won't go with you for very long. Michael Jordan had many leadership abilities. And you could say that year Michael Jordan took off to go play baseball, you saw the Bulls lacking some of that leadership. Scottie Pippen tried his best to step in, but he wasn't able to get them to that championship. They lost early in the playoffs. Next year, Michael Jordan comes back, and I guess it was 2 years, but they won. And it just shows you when you have that fierce determination. It talks about when Jordan and the Bulls lost to the Knicks. And I think it was the conference championship. And normally the players, after they lose, the next day they're checking in equipment and they're going on vacation. The Bulls that year chose not to. They decided, what do we need to do to make a difference? How are we going to make sure this doesn't happen to us again? So they got in the weight room right away. They decided they were going to do the physical improvements, the mental improvements for whatever it took to have that singular purpose of winning a championship. And it was a great illustration of different types of leadership, because there is different types of leaders. But I wanted to highlight a few people today at the county that I think have really stepped up during this COVID crisis. I've been here a short time, but you can find leaders really in many things we do in life. Somebody always seems to want to rise to the top. So I wanted to give a few shout outs. Kelly Loeffler has started a campaign. She started it early on in the COVID-19 crisis, and it's simply labeled Stretch Break. But what it's allowed county employees to do is interact with one another, whether they were teleworking, working in the offices. But it gave them a break to get rid of the stress, because everybody seems to be under a lot of stress right now with that COVID. And Kelly started a plan and where people take a 15-minute stretch break, and it's on Zoom. You get on and we watch, and we have Lauren on there, and she leads us through some stretching exercises and yoga. And today, for the first time, I joined the team. We started it back up, Step With Your Rep, which Commissioner Scott James has led. And so we took a nice long walk around the campus today, and it was good. We recognized early on in the COVID process that we needed some additional help with the emergency side of it with the health pandemic. And we brought back an employee that had retired from us. He'd been with the county for 30 years. But Trevor Jarachek came back and has helped out with the health department to get us through some of those difficult moments. And I want to give him kudos because he didn't have to, but he saw a need, and he said, you know what, I have some skills that could really pertain to the county and help us get through this. And, I'd like to give him a thank you because he sure didn't have to do that. He's got his own new profession now and family. And, I just say thank you because true leadership, and he stepped up in a time of need. Roy Rudisil, he's spearheading our EOC, our Emergency Operations Center. So as departments get overwhelmed, we have to move into that emergency side. And Roy and his team, and consists of Toby Taylor and others, but Roy's really stepped up during this time, and he's had his own personal moments throughout this with personal challenges, but he's gotten that team together, and I really want to say thank you. Some of the successes we're seeing really wouldn't be possible without him, and so I want to give him a big kudos. Last but not least, I want to say thank you to Ryan Rose. Ryan Rose is our department chair for IT. He's also understudy for Don Warden. And Ryan has done a fabulous job, him and his team, of making sure the employees that needed laptops and equipment to telework during this pandemic had those. And that our bandwidth was where it needed to be so that we could flawlessly work, whether that was from home or still in the office, doing all of our teleconferencing or Zoom, and helping find ways to really reach out to you, the individuals, and bring our meetings to you. And I would say Ryan has identified areas of need, and selfishly he has volunteered to step up. And a lot of these guys, I'm telling you, every one of them I just mentioned to you hasn't really taken a day off since the pandemic started. I worry about them. I worry about their health. I pray for them. I would ask you guys to pray for them as well. But they've really risen to the occasion and risen to the challenge. And so they displayed some great leadership at the county level. And so I just want to say thank you to them. As we move through this, leadership also, just like I explained with those individuals, but it's being out in front of things. Instead of being reactionary, you have to be proactive. As I've explained to you before, one of the many things I'm working on is the budget with the county. I'm working on various departments' budgets along with Don Warden, and working on the budget as an overall. So what we've talked to our department chairs about is really in this first call here, this warning or whatever we call it, is look at your functions as a department and come up with your 15% of functions that are least essential, because we may have to make decisions to cut those, operations or restructure them. And our departments have taken that challenge head on. They've had to do it before. They had to do it in 08, 09 when we had the market downturn then. They had to do it in 12. But because our department chairs and our departments understand how important it is in Weld County to keep that balanced budget, yet retain our so important employees, they take this challenge on and they meet it really head on. So they're displaying great forms of leadership. But as we're pouring through this, it's important. We've got a lot of things up in the air. The markets have changed since we set 2020's budget back in the late fall, early winter. COVID-19's really taken a hit in many forms. It's attacked agriculture. It's attacked oil and gas. It's attacked businesses. We're going to see a whole change there in just the property valuations that we look at. We had meetings this week. It was an all-department meeting as we went over really what we're looking at for assessed values across the county, how that's going to impact immediate budgets. And then Don shared with the team, what we're forecasting and how we're really looking at this budget is not only 21, but we're looking at it for the years 2022, 2023, and 2024, so that we make sure the county is positioned not just in the immediate term, but the long term. But when I said we have a few balls up in the air, I really mean it. JBC, the Joint Budget Committee coming out of the state, is feverishly working day and night down there to figure out how to raid any and all cash funds they have available to them to try and balance the state's budget. See, many of the programs we do at the county are state mandated, especially through the health department and human services. The state says you have to do this program that serves this group of people. And sometimes they give us money, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't give us adequate, or the majority of the time they don't give us adequate money for the entire project. So what the county does is the county has to backfill those. Well, those cash funds that they've funded many of those projects with, the Joint Budget Committee down there at the state is raiding those to keep them at the state so that they don't have to cut their budget so deeply. We're talking things like the waste tire fund, right? The cigarette fund, the anything and everything that's grabbable, they're doing it. And some of these funds that they're raiding, those monies go to projects and departments that really are important. I mean, we're talking about children. We're talking about foster children. We're talking about the feeding, right? The Food Cares Act, which is called SNAP. They're taking the money away from that. And one of the other great things we do here in the county, or we've been able to do, is we have mobile nurses that go around and visit our elderly or infirmed that aren't able to get out of their houses. And they're raiding funds that pay for this type of stuff. So we as a county are having to look at that. And when I say balls are up in the air right now, we really don't know where all those balls are going to land and what the JBC is going to decide on. And we've been in constant communication down there, speaking on your behalf to make sure that they don't continue to raid this stuff that is ultimately important. But we're also making plans for the eventuality that they might, how we maneuver inside of that. Because like I said, we have no intentions of furloughing anybody in the county. What we like to do is if a project goes away, we move people over and we slide them into other departments where they can be qualified and help out. Like right now, the health department's needing people, and we can move people from other departments if they have the qualifications to backfill where we need them. And some stuff in public works is additionally needed, and we'll make those maneuvers as we need them, and we see how the budget wraps out. What it comes back to is you can't depend on the state, right? The state is always going to fund its pet projects, whatever it thinks, right? And they're going to cut those that I would consider important, like education. I don't know why they always think education is the first thing they need to go to and cut. It's ridiculous. Yet they'll keep pet projects alive because they feel it helps them with voter bases. Well, that to me is just pandering. It's not leadership, right? That's just pandering for votes instead of delivering on promises made. We've talked a little bit in the past about the CARES Act. We as Weld County Commissioners were still leading that charge and making sure the CARES Act funding gets to the local municipalities and county governments to help take care of their COVID-19 related expenses. When you get that type of